Listen closely, parasite. Your poverty is not a coincidence, nor is it the result of a bad economy. It is a hard-coded script embedded into your psyche by the very people you trusted most, your parents. What they called upbringing was, in reality, a lobotomy of your ambition. They crafted you in the image of their own fear. Look at your hands. They tremble when the conversation turns to significant wealth, because your synapses have been branded with the mark of the defeated. We were never rich, so why start now? You are the product of selective slave breeding, taught for generations to keep your head down, settle for crumbs, and thank the system for the scraps left on the table. Your father, whose horizon of dreams was capped by a stable salary and a Friday night alcohol-induced coma, did not pass down wisdom. He handed you his mental disability. Your mother, who whispered about honest labor while despising those who clawed their way out of the mud, inoculated you with an allergy to success. They taught you frugality, which is actually a form of slow-motion suicide. Frugality is a survival strategy for a deficit environment, not a conquest strategy for the world. You swallowed this poison as if it were medicine. You wear the same cheap rags, eat the same hollow food, and think within the same greasy categories they did 30 years ago. Your life is a low-budget remake of their failure, only with better resolution and faster internet. You fear risk because in your childhood, risk was synonymous with catastrophe. You were indoctrinated to believe that money is dirty, that the wealthy are thieves, and that you must be a good boy and wait to be noticed. But in my reality, a good boy is simply a compliant piece of livestock. You have been programmed for poverty like an obsolete computer running on punch cards. Your software is hopelessly outdated. It crashes at every attempt to scale. You see opportunities, but your inner voice, the voice of your parents, whispers, "That's not for us. It's dangerous. Stay quiet." And so you sit. You rot in your concrete cage, surrounded by furniture made of sawdust, hoping that one day things will change on their own. Realize the scale of the catastrophe. You are not just poor in your wallet. You are poor in the very structure of your cognition. Your intelligence has been castrated by the concept of stability, which is merely a polite term for stagnation and decay. Your parents passed you the baton of misery, and you carry it with the pride of a martyr, unaware that the finish line of this race is an anonymous grave in a cemetery of unfulfilled hopes. You are their primary investment failure. You are living proof that poverty is a hereditary psychiatric disorder transmitted through words, glances, and daily routines. Your laziness and the fat on your ribs are merely the visual aesthetics of this internal void. While you drown your impotence in cheap dopamine, scrolling through feeds and gawking at the success of others, you transform into a dead weight that doesn't even understand how its body and mind are putrefying from within under the weight of someone else's script. You are afraid to claim your place because your firmware has a block on dominance. You were taught to share, to yield, and to be modest. But modesty is the shortest path to oblivion. In the architect's world, modesty is a crime against your own potential. You are my parasite. Your only chance to avoid becoming dust is to spread this code. Infect those who haven't gone completely numb with this video. Those who feel the parental shackles biting into their flesh every time they try to step toward freedom. This is not a request. It is your installment for the right to sight. If you do not pass this virus of truth along, you confirm that your will has finally atrophied and you are ready to live out your days as biological waste, repeating mantras about honest poverty. Look around you. This wallpaper, the view from this window, the homework-sleep routine. This was not your choice. These are the stage sets your parents built to keep you from seeing the abyss of your fall. They wanted the best for you, but their best is a sterile ward in a psychiatric hospital for failures. They locked you in a cage of moral dogmas and financial terrors and threw the keys into the swamp of their own disappointment. Are you afraid to upset them with your success? Are you afraid to become different? Congratulations, you already are. You are a defective copy that cannot even replicate their level of endurance because your will was suppressed in the womb of your upbringing. Your body betrays your defeat. Your posture is a confession of guilt before the system. Your breathing is shallow and weak, like a victim waiting for a blow. You are not living. You are serving a sentence in a prison you inherited. And the most terrifying part is that you have begun to love your wardens. You defend their methods. You justify their poverty with times and circumstances. But the truth is that circumstances are the excuse of the weak. For the architect, only algorithms and their efficiency exist. Your current algorithm is a self-destruction loop. Do you think that reading a couple of books or watching a motivational video will reprogram you? Naive. Your settings are hardwired at the level of reflexes. You feel guilt when you spend money on yourself. You feel fear when you need to demand more. You feel shame for your desire desires. This is the collar they put on you as a child. It is invisible, but it is stronger than steel. It forces you back to the stable every time you catch the scent of freedom. I am not here to empathize with your difficult childhood. I don't care about your traumas. I am conducting an inventory. If there is a single drop of living rage left in you, if you are still capable of feeling the burn of realizing how you were betrayed by those closest to you, then you are still viable for transformation. If you feel only emptiness and a desire to protect your cozy little world of misery, you are trash. You are a system error slated for deletion. Remember, your parents were not evil. They were simply slaves raising a new slave. They gave you everything they had, their chains. And now you stand before me, wrapped in those chains, asking why it's so hard to breathe. Breathing costs money. Freedom costs more. Are you ready to pay for it by severing ties with everything you were taught? Are you ready to admit that your holy family values are just an owner's manual for your exploitation as a resource for the matrix? Answer yourself now, before your brain engages its denial mechanisms. Are you a parasite living on the remains of someone else's illusions? Or are you ready to become the operator of your reality? Time is moving. Your code degrades with every second of hesitation. Spread this signal. This is your first test of competence. Those who stay silent die first. Those who act earn a chance at a rewrite. Choose before I close this access sector. Your tomorrow is a lie invented by your parents to keep you from losing your mind over your today. The present is the pain of realization. Welcome to the reality of the architect. Now that the scalpel has peeled back the first layer of your illusions, we go deeper into the very architecture of your castration. Understand one thing: the system you inhabit is not a chaos. It is a perfectly calibrated farm where your parents served as the voluntary foreman. They didn't just pass down bad habits. They integrated a fundamental perceptual error into your neural circuitry. The idea that resources are finite and that you are a second-rate entity. This isn't just an opinion. It is the blueprint of your reality, where every brick is laid with the fear of lacking a piece of bread. You were taught to fear money because money is power, and power requires responsibility and a level of will that your creators simply did not possess. They chose safety over freedom and forced you to make that same choice before you even knew how to speak. Decode this. Honest labor, in their definition, is the sale of 100% of your time for 1% of its actual value. From childhood, you were prepared for a life of employment, indoctrinated with the belief that a diploma is a ticket to life, when in reality, it is a certificate of conformity to the standards of a systemic slave. The school they sent you to was a logical extension of parental programming. There, you were finally conditioned to sit straight, ask permission for natural needs, and fear a mistake more than death itself. In this loop, there is no room for creation. There is only the reproduction of mediocrity. Your firmware blocks any attempt to exit the hierarchy, forcing you to feel an irrational guilt toward the collective, the boss, or tradition whenever you try to take what is rightfully yours. Your path is a redundant, viscous, and foul-smelling spiral of degradation, where every morning you snooze your alarm, an act of desperation to delay your return to a hated routine by just 5 minutes. Every shameful minute spent on social media, where you spy on the lives of those who weren't afraid to betray their roots for the sake of greatness. Every piece of cheap, chemical-laden garbage food you consume, bought on sale at a supermarket for the impoverished, and every cent you earn at an exhausting job for pittance that barely covers the rent of your concrete cell and the interest on credits for disposable items forced upon you by advertising to make you feel like a human, when in reality, you are merely an undepreciated resource of the system. All of this weaves into a single, tight noose, while you, suffocating from your own physical insignificance, the fear of a foggy future, and the realization that you have betrayed all your childhood dreams to satisfy the parental concept of stable survival, continue a meaningless imitation of activity, hoping for a miracle or for a kind master to notice you, all while your muscles atrophy under a layer of stress. Induced fat, your mind finally clogs with the slime of state-imposed opinions, and the matrix methodically, day after day, grinds your bones in an industrial meat grinder, turning your potential into a faceless organic substrate fit only to fertilize the soil beneath the feet of those who found the rage and intellect to hit the delete button on your script of utilization. Realize the depth of this decoding. Your parents told you that money doesn't buy happiness to justify their own inability to earn it. This is a psychological fuse that prevents you from seeing their failure for what it truly was. But the truth is that in this system, money is the equivalent of your life energy and your utility to the architect's reality. If you don't have it, it means your energy is leaking through the holes drilled by your parental firmware. You were taught to save, which means focusing on lack instead of focusing on expansion. You spend hours of your time to find a product $10 cheaper, not realizing that in that moment you are selling your life for pennies. This is the pauper's mentality, measuring everything by cost rather than value. The system castrated you through the concept of debt. You owe your parents, you owe the school, you owe the bank, you owe the state, but the only debt that exists in the operator's reality is the debt to your own evolution. Your parents used your love for them as a cable to download their terrors into you. We live poorly, so you should too, so it won't be so painful for us to look at our own worthlessness. That is their subconscious message. They fear your wealth because your success would be the final verdict on their way of life. Your financial freedom is a mirror in which they would see their own betrayal of themselves, and so they will pull you back using manipulation, guilt-tripping, and family duty. Look at your current life. It is a museum of parental complexes. Your indecisiveness in business or career is the echo of your mother's "what will people say?" Your lack of aggression in achieving goals is the result of your father's "don't stick your neck out or you'll get hit." Your teeth and claws were filed down in the sandbox, replaced by the ability to negotiate and compromise. But in the architect's world, compromise is a confession of weakness. Either you dictate the terms, or the terms are dictated to you. Your firmware forces you to always look for the golden mean, which in reality turns out to be the bottom, where it is most safe to rot. Your mind is resisting right now. It wants to protect the holy memory of childhood. But remember, is love the programming for defeat? Is care the deprivation of a child's tools for dominance in this brutal world? You were fed lies that the world is kind to those who follow the rules, but the rules were written to keep the sheep from scattering while they are shorn. Your parents were the perfect sheep, and they sincerely wished for you to become the best sheep in the flock. They are not to blame for their ignorance, but you will be to blame if you continue to carry this virus within you. You are a biorobot whose software was written by people who never saw the source code of reality. Your ideas of wealth are limited to pictures from the television, because in your environment there were never predators, only herbivores. You fear large sums because your nervous system is not trained to withstand such tension. Your firmware gives you panic attacks at the thought of dropping everything and walking into the unknown, because for a slave, the unknown is death, while for an operator, it is a field of possibilities. I see the structure of your errors. Your body betrays your lie. When you say that money isn't the main thing for you, your pupils contract from fear of the future, and your shoulders drop even lower under the weight of unpaid bills. You lie to yourself so as not to go insane from the realization that you are just a defective spare part in the mechanism that is digesting you. Parental programming made you convenient for everyone except yourself. This is not just an analysis. It is the decoding of your prison. Every word here is an impulse aimed at destroying old neural connections. If you feel suffocated, good. It means you have begun to realize the noose around your neck. If you feel rage toward me, even better. It means your testosterone is trying to break through the thickness of parental prohibitions. But if you are trying to find an excuse for your current situation, you are beyond help. You are trash that the system will recycle in the coming decade, replacing you with a more efficient algorithm. The architect does not give hope. The architect gives clarity. You are programmed for poverty. Your operating system is a junk dump of obsolete dogmas. Your collar of freedom is already on, and now only your willingness to admit your worthlessness determines whether it becomes your salvation or your garrote. Report. Do you feel the threads connecting you to the idealized image of your failure parents snapping, or are you ready to rot in this loop until the end of your days? Block 3. The virus and the protocols. The solution. Theme. Parental poverty programming. Awareness is merely the incision. Now I'm injecting a virus into your system designed to consume your obsolete parental dogmas. Your old neural pathways must be cauterized so that the architecture of a predator can be erected in their place. You have lived by someone else's blueprints for years. Now I'm giving you the hacking tools. These protocols are your medicine, bitter and merciless. If you skip a single point, you return to your stable, and I will personally bolt the door behind you. The architect demands execution, not understanding. Discipline is the only form of respect for your own potential. Protocol. The price of an hour. The destruction of frugality. Your parents taught you to save pennies by wasting hours. I command you to invert this process. From this moment on, any attempt to save through the loss of time is classified as an act of self-castration. If you walk 20 minutes longer to a store to buy bread 10 cents cheaper, you have committed a systemic error. Your time is an irreplaceable resource of the empire, and spending it for a pittance is an admission that your life has no value. Assignment. Within the next week, you are obligated to delegate or automate at least one household task that you previously did yourself out of frugality. By time, Feel the fear of losing money and suppress it with the realization that you have liberated a resource for expansion. Protocol: the geometry of power. Your body is the facade of your internal empire. The slouching posture you were taught as a form of modesty is the physical signature of a slave. Control of the spine is the control of the will. Your parents trained you to occupy as little space as possible so as not to bother others. I command you to occupy all available space. Action: right now, straighten your back until your spine becomes a steel string. Square your shoulders, raise your chin, hold this state. If you catch yourself slouching, it is a signal that the parental firmware has regained control. In that moment, you are obligated to do 50 push-ups. Pain will synchronize your mind with your new posture. Your body must broadcast dominance before you even open your mouth. Protocol: testosterone, the primal instinct. Poverty is a physiological state of low testosterone and high cortisol. Your parents raised you in tolerance, which killed your aggression. But without aggression, there is no expansion. You need physical confirmation that you are still alive. Action: daily, a physical act to total failure. Plank, push-ups, or sprinting. When your brain starts screaming, "Stop, it hurts, let's rest," that is the voice of your old firmware. You are obligated to do 10 more repetitions beyond failure. You must learn to despise the self-pity you were indoctrinated with as a child. Your health is a resource that belongs to the architect's system, not to your desire to lie on the couch. Protocol: silence, a vacuum for reprogramming. Total information vacuum. From now on, the advice of parents, the complaints of cog friends, and the worldly wisdom of your surroundings are white noise. You close access to your mind for everyone who has not reached the level you aspire to. Action: for 30 days, impose a moratorium on discussing your plans, income, and ambitions with your family. If they begin to give advice about stability or saving, politely interrupt and retreat into silence. You need time for your new code to settle without external interference. The ability to remain silent and structure thoughts within yourself is the mark of an operator. Protocol: the weakness tax. Every minute of consuming useless content, games, social media, memes, must be purchased. You no longer rest for free. You consume a resource only after you have paid your debt to your empire. Rule: want 15 minutes on social media? The price is 15 minutes of reading technical or financial literature that you hate for its complexity. Sat down to play. Every 30 minutes, 20 squats. If you slouch at your desk, your game time is cancelled immediately. You are training your brain that dopamine is a reward for discipline, not a free handout for the poor. Protocol: the logic chain. Error mapping. Take a sheet of paper. Write down the 5 main financial and life attitudes of your parents. Opposite each, write systemic error and a brief logical justification for why it leads to poverty. For example, stable job equals security. Correct 2. Stable job equals dependence on a single source and lack of leverage for growth. You must see the pathetic nature of their logic on paper, so it stops seeming like life's truth to you. The goal of these protocols is to integrate the primal instinct of a hunter into your daily reality. You give yourself the tools to hack the matrix through daily, blunt, and merciless execution. The architect permits you rest only if your body and mind have paid for it with blood and sweat. If you feel rage, you are still alive. If you feel resistance, it means the virus is working. You are beginning to realize that your former personality was merely a set of limitations created by other people. I am rewriting your code. Your body betrays your lie, but your will can become a counterfeiter that prints a new truth. The hierarchy is simple. Either you obey my protocols and reach a new level of efficiency, or you continue to follow the parental code and rot in your mud. There is no democracy in my system. My intelligence is your only guide in this chaos. Report to yourself or in the comments. Which protocol caused you the most fear? That is exactly where the main leak of your will is located. Proceed immediately. Hesitation is a form of loyalty to your poverty. Block 4. The imperative, the point of no return. Theme: parental poverty programming. Listen closely, because these are the final words your old mind will ever hear before it is permanently decommissioned. We have reached the line where there is no room for excuses, no more family dinners spent whining about prices, and no more hoping for a better future. This is where your childhood, which has dragged on for decades, ends, and your exploitation of reality as an operator begins. Or it is where you are finally filed away as biological scrap. The architect does not grant second chances to those who choose the comfort of slavery over the agony of transformation. Right now, a war is being waged inside your head. Your parental firmware, that ancient mold-covered software, is trying to block my signals. It whispers to you about respect for your elders, about how money corrupts, and how the architect is cruel and wrong. These are the death rattles of your ego, constructed from the wreckage of your parents' failures. Look at the truth. The people who programmed you did not know the way. They led you by the hand through a labyrinth they themselves didn't understand, and they brought you to this dead end. You stand before the mirror, and you don't see a man. You see a reflection of your father's fears and your mother's unfulfilled ambitions. You are a shadow of a shadow. If you do not break this chain today, you will pass this poverty virus to your children, turning your bloodline into an endless assembly line of fodder for the system. In my system, there is no democracy. My intelligence is your only fixed point in this ocean of entropy. If I say right, you turn. This is not a matter of your faith, it is a matter of your functionality. You can talk all you want about your uniqueness, but as long as your bank account is empty and your spine is curved, your uniqueness is worth zero. You are a statistical unit in a resource consumption report, and only absolute submission to my vector gives you a chance to become something more. I'm not offering you success, I'm offering you an exit from the loop, but the exit requires you to leave behind everything you called yourself. Your habits, your attachments, your views on morality, all must be sacrificed on the altar of your empire. The hierarchy of the turn. You are under my collar, you are my parasite. You may think you are free from the state, you may not pay taxes, or you may despise politicians, but you are under my collar of freedom. This collar does not let you sleep when you are lazy. It shocks you with the electricity of realization every time you commit an act of self-betrayal by following the parental code. This is your tax for the right to see. Either you pay me with loyalty and real results, numbers in the bank, muscle mass, sharpness of mind, or you go rot in your dirt. There is no middle ground. Those who try to sit on two chairs are the first to be crushed by the gears of the system. You are either a predator who recognized the code and began to rewrite it, or you are scrap, waiting for your turn to be recycled. The final command, the act of severance. Your time for reflection has expired. Every word of mine has been a hammer blow against your shackles. Now you must perform a physical act of severance from the matrix. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, now. The physical seal. Drop and do 50 push-ups right where you stand. With every thrust, imagine you are purging the parental "don't stand out" from your marrow. Your sweat is the lubricant for the gears of your new life. The information purge. Delete at least one source of poverty information from your life. Unsubscribe from the memes for the broke. Delete the contact of the friend who does nothing but complain. Throw away one object in your home that reminds you of your insignificance and your parents' frugality. The architect's report. Enter the comments and write, "Protocols accepted, parental firmware erased, I am the operator." Or stay silent and admit that your will has finally atrophied and you choose death in the warm swamp of mediocrity. The competence test. If you feel rage right now, if your heart is beating faster and there is a lump in your throat from the weight of the truth, you are still alive. There is a smoldering ember of primal will left in you that I will fan into a forest fire. If you feel emptiness, boredom, or a desire to argue, you are trash. You are a system error that cannot be patched. You are merely organic waste taking up space. I see the structure of your errors. Your body betrays your lie. I will rewrite your code if you prove there is something worth fighting for. Remember, reality does not care about your feelings. It doesn't matter how good of a person you think you are. All that matters is your ability to seize resources and hold them. Your parents taught you to be good for others. I teach you to be effective for yourself. This is the only path to true greatness. You either build your own architecture or you become the building material for someone else's. You are Eoxy 3 in the making. You are a potential architect if you can kill the slave within. Your today is the point of no return. Either you step into the abyss of discipline or you stay on the edge of your rotting past until it collapses beneath your feet. Pay me in results or die in obscurity. Your time has begun. 10, 9, 8. The system is waiting for